Hello, everybody. This is Tony Salvaggio, and welcome to E-Revolutionary, the podcast, a place where revolutionary people come with revolutionary ideas, and they're the ones that are actually making it happen. This podcast is produced with full refurbished technology, secondhand technology, bringing it back to life, and that's part of the mission of the podcast, is to shine a light onto that.
If you want to change your community, be a part of a community. Don't do this alone. Put yourself out there, find a community group, and get out of your house, get out of your office at work. Don't rely on your friends and family to be the support group, and put yourself around others that are just like you. We want to change things in this community. We want to change things at our state, in our country, in our world. If we sit back and rely from the status quo, we will remain where we are. So put yourself in a new community. Put yourself out there. The more you're exposed to new things outside of your existing world, the more opportunities and ideas come your way. And that then comes into courage and confidence and the comfort to take action.
TEDx and old TED Talk. We bonded through TED when we used to do the TED programs. But there was an old video where it says the real transformative thinker is not the person that comes up with the idea, but the first person who follows it, right? And it's a great video, and very short, it's very sweet. And that idea is like, it's great to have a good idea, but if nobody buys into that idea, it's not going to go anywhere, right? You really need people to develop
early
it.
Adopters, your
exactly.
first generation of supporters.
Exactly, and the library was absolutely phenomenal, and they put in a recording studio, and they put in a little, machine shop, or minimal machine shop, and so that's how we sort of came to embrace this idea of these public creative spaces, the third place where people can go. It's not school, it's not work.
I've just met somebody in the community who takes these ideas and doesn't want to keep them in the boardroom where we're discussing them, but wants to put them into practice. And how much I admired meeting somebody who wanted to take that step. You talk about building a bridge between innovation and community, but that bridge is only built by people who will take the steps, right? And so TechStart's mission was to recognize early on that there was a growing digital divide that we've talked about between who was going to be able to have a place in the burgeoning digital economy, the experience economy, the service economy, that was going to be founded on experiences generated in a digital realm.
Technology has to be a tool and not the end itself.
Right.
And so having a space where people can learn that together in a safe environment, I think is really important. And the more community you pull in behind it, the better your overall community becomes, right? The whole idea of having a space where people can come and work together creates sort of this self-reliance.
My mom grew up in an orphanage because of a civil war in Greece. My dad left a communist country by accident. They were in arranged marriage in Canada. So a lot of those untraditional things that happen, especially recently, not recently, but throughout the past 40, 50 years. And when we moved to Florida, the Tampa Bay area, I was 5. And my parents started a fruit stand. And I didn't know that they were entrepreneurs at that time. It was just the life that we had. And so not growing up in a family that was all about college, it was really about grit. It was about grit, about creating a better life for me.
The Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, let's just first off say you are definitely more global than we are. The Institute, or JMI as I'll refer to it, is a nonprofit organization, as you said, that is run through Florida State University. Jim Moran himself was a self-made entrepreneur. He was a billionaire back when that B word was very uncommon. We know his legacy now through Southeast Toyota. And he made his legacy through that. And this was one of the many ways he gave back to the community. He's very, his foundation is still very heavily involved with child and family services, but being an entrepreneur, this was one way he could give back to other entrepreneurs. And since his passing, his wife, who helps run the foundation, made sure that his legacy remains tied to entrepreneurs like ourselves.
It's even what it looks like, what it feels like, and how quickly people adopt. I was at a seminar and the speaker talked about how quickly people are adopting to technology now. And they gave an example of how long did it take people to get, like 100 million people had cell phones. It's like 7 years. Then it was how long did it take Facebook to get to 100 million users? It was like 2.9 years. And this was a year ago. How long were they estimating it would take 100 million people to use ChatGPT? And they were like 9 months. So technology is moving at such a pace that sometimes we don't even notice it. Well, and that's a paradox because we, especially in Florida, like we like to think that we're green, but any place you go to recycle, they're like no electronics. So we've trained people to recycle plastics and soda cans. I mean, think about it. How we train them because it's like, oh, it's 10 cents. I used to live in Michigan. And so anytime you bought cans, it was a 10-cent deposit. Mm-hmm. And so then you took them back because then you get your 10 cents.
Right.
So, community was incentivized to recycle, and then it becomes a habit. And then you start reading about how the plastics impact the water and the air, and people start realizing we live in this beautiful place. We have natural resources. We have to take care of them. So I think people they believe they're starting to think about recycling. You bring up a good point, but there's not a place to go about e-waste.
The ideal place where a lot of people want to come because you can see it. You can feel the ecosystem that wants to help people move forward, that can connect people. We sometimes underestimate the fact that it has taken more than a decade to build, and that the success stories of companies that have grown the way that AVI-SPL has grown and decided to stay back with that mindset is really what creates the communities that we get to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Is success stories of companies that have made it because they're grounded on that mindset that now can give back. And it's also encouraging to folks that are starting from scratch to know that models like that are sustainable, are scalable, do exist, they can be replicated.
When the audience is going to experience this episode, we would have already closed out cohort 14 and already filled the seats for cohort 15. Wow. And it really is amazing the number of small business owners that cannot grow because they are their number one employee. The more time you spend in your day-to-day operation, that means there's less time for you to scale the business up.
Technology has to be a tool and not the end itself. Right. And so having a space where people can learn that together in a safe environment, I think is really important. And the more community you pull in behind it, the better your overall community becomes, right? The whole idea of having a space where people can come and work together creates sort of this self-reliance, right? This people who can take care of each other. And I think at the heart of it, even though it's kind of a tech space, it's not really a tech space. It's a personal community building space.
But once we know that they're willing to do that, we know that they're a lifelong learner wanting to grow their business. And that's what we help them do. Pull them off of the hamster wheel and allow them, I like to say, pull them off the battlefield and put them up on the hillside in a Jeep like a general, calling the shots, not fighting the battles. The average age of a new entrepreneur is about 45, 46 years old. I had always envisioned this 20-something, being the overrepresented, age group. The average age is about 45, 46. And then those above that age are 2 to 3 times more successful than entrepreneurs below that age.
And I would call people up and say, hey, I've got these kids. And they're like, nope, can't help you. One guy said, I'm curious, I'd like to know more. And I brought the kids out to St. Petersburg. It was Paul Markin. He passed away last year. And this was 18 years ago. And he's like, yeah, bring them by. I'd like to talk to them. And that moment where the students met him, and you walked in and he had this beautiful shop, little personal mechanical engineering shop. And the door to the shop said, nobody gets to see the wizard. Ain't no way, ain't no how. The kids were like, ooh. And he pushed open the door and there's this beautiful shop in there and it's got soft jazz playing. And they had never seen anything like this. And Paul remained a mentor for the team for probably 12 years. And we would go out to see him all the time, and he'd talk to them about engineering, the elegance of engineering. Absolutely marvelous. But the first time we were there, one of the students on the robotics team, as we were leaving, said that was the very first time he had ever seen an adult who loved what they did. And it's like, wow. Like, that to me was a transformative statement on many levels, because what we're doing is showing people possibilities. So this kid was 18, and he had never met an adult, including in his own family, apparently, who really loved what they did. It was more than work to them.
Wow.
It was art,
Wow.
And so I think that, being able to find the people in our lives who can help, who can guide, who can lead, and who are willing to share what they know is super important and powerful. And for any of those people who are approached all the time and said, hey, you should volunteer, you should mentor, we could really use your help. Money is great. Bodies in the room is just as important. And you don't know how important, and you won't always know how important until you hear a story down the road, or somebody comes up, and you may never know, right, how you've impacted somebody. So
Wow.
yeah, we'll have kids come in and go, I don't know how to solder, or I can't solder. It's like, well, is it that you can't, or you just don't know how yet, right? And so we try to change that language up about things like, maybe you won't like soldering, that's okay, but you still can, right? So I think that's extraordinarily important.
For sure.
Distinction,
Oh, 100, and leading by example and
Right.
representation, and creating that right environment as well. Terri, what's a good message that you could give the folks that are listening, based on your experience of really making ideas happen? And what's that message to wrap up that you would like them to leave with?
A professor at the University of Ecuador has discovered a fungi that can actually metabolize plastic. That fungi lives in the forest that the shuar guard. And so we're doing more. That research is going to happen.
Right.
Too.
Right.
There's just...
I don't think we look at each other enough. And I think that's a critical part of connecting with each other. And we need to be present for one another, and we need to be able to share what we love and why we love it, and be less concerned about NDAs, and more concerned about everybody, all of us succeeding together, right? We all need to succeed together, or none of us will succeed at all. And I think that's the biggest take home for me, is that we need each other.